Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first One API Dev Summit hosted by the UXL Foundation. We're now in the second day of our summit, and we're really pleased to be sharing the latest and greatest on the One API spec with our developer community in Europe and North America. For some of you, it's good morning. For me, it's good afternoon, and I'm sure there are others joining from further afield who it's good evening for. Thank you to all of you for joining us today and taking the time out of your schedules to learn more about what's going on with One API. So, our community-led conference is bringing together developers to explore, share, and showcase the capabilities of One API through a range of tech talks and demonstrations, panels, and tutorials. My name is Eleanor Brash, and I'm joined by a co-host, Manoush Subawal. Manoush is Director of AI Product Management at Qualcomm. He spent 15 years in engineering, specializing in performance and optimization, and has been defining APIs for open source AI frameworks. He has been working on some great projects in his time, including bringing AI to Windows PCs, and he's been at the forefront of advancing AI software for the Snapdragon X Elite experience. You'll be seeing a lot of both me and Manoj over the course of the day as we introduce you to the various speakers and guide you through the program. And I'm going to hand you over to Manoj now for a bit of housekeeping.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce my co-host, Eleanor Brash. So she has over a decade of expertise in technology sector. Eleanor expertise gained from semiconductor engineering, wireless communication, and game development. At Imagination Technology, she collaborates closely with the products, engineering, and the sales team to develop code go-to-market strategies, turning innovation into significant business opportunities. Now, both of us will be working closely with, have been working closely with the UXL Foundation to achieve the success to its goal. On that note, we have a few bookkeeping slides on the platform that we want to share with you all. So, few of the stuff for bookkeeping. As you can see, there's a main agenda page, and to access this, you have to click on add every of you must have added all the session to your agenda, whichever you are interested on. And between each of the session, you have to close the window and then go to the next one. Next, there's also a Slack for discussion link there. You have to click, or there's also a Q&A section on this window where you can ask questions to us and have more interactive session. Okay, with that, hand over to Rod for introduction.
Hi there. Thanks. I'm really excited to be kicking off day 2 of this latest One API Dev Summit event hosted by the UXL Foundation. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you, the community, on your work. And I'm also enjoying, following the first day, learning more about how people are using SYCL and One API to build highly performant software and applications. Just want to make a note of special thank you to Ellie and Manoush for hosting our event today. They're going to be in for quite a long day, so thanks to them. Thank you for joining us. My name's Rob Burns. I'm the chair for the UXL Foundation Steering Committee. I'm going to provide you with a bit of an update on the foundation, talk about how you can get involved and how you can help us to shape the future of accelerated computing. So just to give you a bit of background, so the landscape of computing has changed and developers are increasingly using diverse architectures and they're achieving the sorts of levels of performance that we've not seen before, especially in systems of increasingly diverse situations. So not only are scientists running highly complex simulations and experiments using HPC clusters with lots of GPUs, but it's also possible to run the newest AI workloads on portable computers, as well as things like drones and vehicles like cars. So alongside this, we're seeing the emergence of new processors. These are designed to accelerate the latest workloads. So things like NPUs, but also specialist AI processors are becoming available. But developers don't want to program in a different way for every different device, in particular across vendors. And the challenge that we're seeing is that different architectures often require unique languages, tools, different libraries, and this adds complexity but also limits your ability to reuse code. And this makes it difficult to take advantage of different multi-architecture systems and to adopt new architectures as well. And the UXL Foundation was formed to tackle this by providing an open, standards-based, multi-architecture way to develop software and deploy this across code regardless of vendor. So the UXL Foundation is committed to developing a framework that's open but also scalable for the current and also the next generation of processors. So right now, developers can use the UXL Foundation projects alongside the SYCL programming model to write code that can be run on processors from ARM, AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA. And in fact, developers in both research institutes and commercial organizations are deploying code that makes use of these capabilities. And the foundation is bringing together both hardware and software companies to take these projects to the next level by adding new vendor targets and evolving the projects to meet the needs of the next generation of both AI and HPC applications. And our goal really is to deliver the building blocks that you need for the majority of your software so that you can achieve great performance regardless of the vendor or architecture that you're using. So this is the UXL Foundation mission. We're building a multi-architecture, multi-vendor software ecosystem for all accelerators. And our ethos is based around delivering this using industry-defined open standards, not proprietary APIs. And we're building on and expanding projects that are open source and already being deployed in production code by commercial companies. And what I think is clear is that the community needs to get behind open standards and open source to help us achieve this mission for hardware that's available now and will be available in the future. And ultimately, open communities facilitate the next generation of innovation. Open technologies have powered previous decades of innovation and will power those in the coming decades. And you in the audience could be a part of that. This is a big opportunity. So the One API specification was the first contribution that was made to the foundation and forms the basis for our current projects. Alongside this, the projects build on the SYCL standard, which is governed by the Kronos Group, an independent standards body, and SYCL is what the projects use to implement much of the cross-vendor, cross-architecture capabilities that they need. The elements of the specification are implemented as open source projects, and they are also governed by the foundation. And our goal is to continue to drive a vendor-neutral ecosystem for open accelerated compute, and do this by building on the momentum that we've taken from the One API initiative, which is how these projects were created in the first place. So a year ago, we brought together these organizations to drive the UXL Foundation forward. We had 8 key organizations from the industry spanning hardware and software, all with a common goal to build multi-architecture, multi-vendor software ecosystem for all accelerators. So these organizations shape the goals and the governance model that we put together with a commitment to contributing their efforts to the foundation. And today we have more than 30 members, and most recently we've welcomed a new member to the steering committee. So GE Healthcare, they're a big supporter of open standards, and actually following my presentation you can hear from Evgeny, who's going to be talking a bit more about that. Alongside that announcement, we also had 2 new general members join us, SK Hynix and Micron, who are both joining us to help define standards for the latest memory technology. Samsung were talking at the previous day's conference about their efforts in this area to bring processing and memory to developers. So this is an exciting area of collaboration. We also have 2 key alliances. One is with Kronos, as I talked about, the SYCL standard. This is really important for the project. So we've set up mechanisms and ways to facilitate knowledge sharing and feedback across both of our organizations. The Autoware group is also working closely with our members to build a demonstration using their autonomous driving software. And you can hear more about this in a panel session that's happening later today. And actually Manoj will be part of that too. So the foundation governance was agreed by the original steering committee that I talked about, the original 8 members. We adopted this structure from the Joint Development Foundation. This is part of the Linux Foundation, provides a sort of template standard set of terms and agreements. It's already being used by other successful Linux Foundations and projects. It's very much focused on helping to define standards, which is something that we do through the One API specification. The technical steering committee is formed from our steering members, takes care of high-level decision-making, the direction of the foundation, and the working groups exist to help steer and define and execute work packages that are required for the different open source projects and the infrastructure that we need, as well as the specification. And these groups also solicit feedback and talk about how to use that feedback for the projects. The special interest groups, or SIGs, exist as a more informal place for the community to gather, where presentations are made on different topics, but they're focused around core areas that you'll see on a later slide. So anyone can participate in the SIGs, and anyone can contribute to the open source projects, but you will need to join as a member to participate in the working groups, or if you wanted to participate in the steering committee. So these are our special interest groups. As I said, they operate to facilitate knowledge sharing. They bring feedback from the community, and different members and community members present on different topics. As I say, you can join these meetings for free, but you can also crucially watch the recordings and see the meeting notes if you want to catch up with them afterwards. You can take a look at the Foundation GitHub repo that has more details about these, and you can get in touch via the mailing lists if you want to present or talk at one of these meetings. So I just wanted to give you a bit of background on where the foundations come from so that you can understand a bit more about the journey that we've taken. The journey started in 2019 when, at the annual supercomputing conference, the One API specification was published. And this was an activity that was led by Intel, and a closed group was formed to bring feedback from the community to that specification. Over the next few years, the specifications evolved. New feedback groups were formed for different elements of the specification, and larger Dev Summit events like this one have been held. Alongside this, the open source projects for the specification implementations were made available on GitHub. The initial targets for these projects were Intel processors, but as the projects have evolved, this has been expanded to include AMD, ARM, and NVIDIA targets for the projects as well. I guess the crucial thing is that the libraries are starting to be adopted broadly across the industry, thanks to the commercial releases that are being made by Intel. So in the past year, we've made some really good steps to expand activities around the project since the foundation was formed. Our working groups are established. There are work packages that are ongoing. We're adopting the best practices from open source for our projects. New targets and contributions are being made to the projects. And we're also seeing key integrations with certain other projects, in particular around AI, which I'll touch on. So I just want to talk about a small number of the projects that are already taking advantage of the powerful UXL Foundation libraries. The Chromax project, a major science application, and one of the most popular projects in the world. So it uses the 1MKL library for portability around math operations. NWKen is another project that's used in the science community for a lot of computational chemistry experiments. And this project, again, benefits from the One API project for cross-vendor acceleration, running the project across different machines that are owned by the US national labs. The Ginkgo project is a high-performance library designed for linear algebra that's used by institutes across the world, and it's benefiting from our projects to bring portability and performance as well. So the last section's a bit more showing broadly some of the projects in the context of the US national labs. So these labs are spread across the country, and they have different supercomputers and clusters, often from different vendors using different processors. And these projects, amongst others, are using things like the 1MKL project to enable them to be deployed across different machines in both pre-exascale and exascale machines like Aurora, Perlmutter, Polaris, Frontier. This is just a sample of some of the projects that are taking advantage. This shows a little bit of the level of adoption that's taking place in AI frameworks with the UXL Foundation project and One API. So TensorFlow has been using 1DNN for quite a while to accelerate execution on different processors. More recently, the PyTorch project has an integration of SYCL and One API based code for CPU and GPU acceleration. The OneDAL project is used alongside scikit-learn to accelerate code on the Fugaku supercomputer. And the Llama CPP project has integrated similarly a SYCL and One API backend using 1MKL and 1DNN to enable an open standard path for multi-architecture acceleration. We also have JAX and OpenXL. These projects are using 1DNN for performance on CPUs and GPUs. So as I've said, it's possible to use the libraries today. You can download a binary package called the One API based toolkit, and that's something that you can get from Intel, who builds and validates that from the source code. But you can also build the projects from source and target different processors from different vendors. So the libraries are implemented using the SYCL standard, as I've talked about, and this is what helps them to be able to target a flexible set of architectures and different processors. So like the projects I've shown in the previous slides, you can also take advantage of this open standards path for multi-vendor acceleration, and I encourage you to do that. So just a few highlights here from the first year of the foundation. There's been a lot of ongoing development happening in all the projects, with contributions coming for new ARM targets, for example, an automotive demonstration project, and some interesting work to integrate generic GPU backends into different projects. We also have a number of work packages ongoing in various areas for things like build infrastructure. We've also been busy at a lot of events. Our members have been representing us different places, making presentations, sharing the mission. And I hope and we hope to meet you in person sometime soon. There's obviously the supercomputing conference coming up, so I hope to see you there. So how can you contribute to the foundation? You can bring your feedback through issues to the project. You can join the SIGs and bring your feedback there. You can join the working groups, but also crucially, you can bring your comments on the RFCs. So the projects have open decision making through RFCs, and you can contribute to that. You can also contribute new things to the project, so features, documentation, new hardware targets, or even testing. And you can even just come and tell us what it is that you need. We want to hear your requirements and what your use cases are. You can also bring infrastructure to the foundation. We're really keen to talk to organizations that can help us to test, benchmark, and to build the projects on different platforms. So the first of my call to action is to ask you to join us. Membership starts at $0. If you want to take an influential role, you can join at the general or steering member levels. So you can find out more on our website. Join us, join our mailing lists. You may have already joined the Slack through the event, but please do that and come and talk to us. So just say thanks for listening. I really want you to join us on our mission. Enjoy the rest of this One API Dev Summit, and I'm really looking forward to our members and community talking about many different interesting topics.